All right. Have you, by chance, listened or seen this latest speech by Biden with the red background that everyone's talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so I haven't seen it, but I asked another brother, and this is the question: what are your thoughts on Biden's speech with the red background? Now, if you guys haven't seen it, I'll just give you. Let me try and do this here. There we go.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like. And so I asked another brother, I'm like, why is everyone talking about this? So apparently those two Marines behind them, that you're not supposed to use the military in your speeches.
As a prop.
Yeah, as a prop. And he did it anyway. And it's because, it's like, a show of force with the executive branch and whatever. And then you have, and of course, I don't believe the memes and stuff. They all, whether it's conservative or liberal, they try and always make them look silly and stuff. But in the speech, he's like doing things with his hands and angry, and it's just a really weird red background. And so the tinfoil hatters are comparing it to like the, if you ever got on YouTube and watched the old Hitler speeches, where he's like, and just getting everyone riled up, and and it's like, that's like very demonic. So they're kind of comparing the two. I didn't see the speech. You did. What are your thoughts? Are people overreacting, or is it really weird?
I think that most of the stuff that he's doing is demonic.
There you go.
I think he's a wicked man.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like
because of his policies.
Yeah, he's doing evil stuff, and so it's like I've got real problems with this guy, and the man needs Jesus, and so the fact that he's using the military as a prop, not a good idea. He did this, and that's Independence Hall back there. Did the stuff in front of Independence Hall, and the words that he said, he took better than half the population. He took everybody that didn't vote for him and called them fascists. And if you know anything about fascism is the government allied with big business in running the economy. That's what fascism was. And that's a description of the Democratic Party. And so, it's like I look at this stuff, and when I see people throwing terms around like that, actually, I don't give the Democrats cover anymore. It's like you used to have some decent people in the Democratic Party. I mean, it's changed over the time that I've been alive. When you look back in the 60s, the only differences between the Democrats and the Republicans, depending on what part of the 60s, in the beginning of the 60s, the Democrats were flat out racist. And then when you get to the end of the 60s, you had the civil rights legislation, which most of the Democrats voted against. I was there. I saw it. And then people started figuring out that trashing somebody because of their race was not a good idea. And then the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans became fiscal policy. And everybody was the same on the same page as far as family and all of that kind of stuff, as far as morality goes and that kind of thing. And it was just a fiscal policy type of situation. And it's not like that anymore. And now when a Democrat comes out, Democrat politician comes out railing against somebody for some moral situation or something like that, talking about fascism and talking about tyranny and that kind of stuff, it's like, I know what they're doing. You're a fascist and you're a tyrant. And these guys are flat out throwing on other people what they are doing.
Right.
And they do it all the time. And it's been going on for a couple of decades now. I've been watching this go on, and so the Democrat Party is the party of death. They want dead babies, and they don't care when it happens. It's the party of abortion, and it's the party of infanticide. These people are talking about infanticide. It's just crazy to me that anybody who is a politician nowadays can go there because, they talk about being the party of science. Well, we know all about what science teaches about when life begins. And they don't have any kind of excuse for this kind of nonsense. They're the party of lies. The whole idea that a man can be a woman and that a woman can be a man. You know what? If you take, it doesn't matter what you do with surgeries and with hormones and all of that kind of stuff. You take and put a person into a grave after they've died and they've had a full transition. You dig them up in 200 or 300 years, they're going to know exactly what you were, because of the shape of your bones, the shape of your pelvis, that kind of stuff. Men and women are absolutely different, all the way down to the chromosomes. And this is just nonsense, and it's designed to trash people's lives. This is the party that wants children castrated. These are crazy people. And so when I'm looking at Mr. Biden, it's like I see him and I get angry at the things that this guy says, because he lies all the time. And I also pray for him all the time, because this guy, he's gonna be accountable before God. And these people in the Democratic Party, I'm talking about the politicians specifically when I'm talking about this stuff, these people are all going to be accountable before God for the things that they've done and for the things that they've said. I think that politicians should have to pay for their political mistakes. These guys put in policies that don't even apply to them, and they apply to the rest of the country. I think that when they do something radically stupid, that they should have to pay for it, and it shouldn't be the people of the United States. So anyway, when I'm looking at this kind of stuff, I have never seen anything so divisive as what that man said. And when you're talking about divisive politics, it's almost all coming from the left. And when the people on the right, and I don't think that everybody on the right is squared away either, but when people on the right reply to them, then they get all up in arms and that kind of stuff. Just the stuff that's going on with January 6th, insurrection and that kind of stuff. Number one, insurrection has a definition. Look it up. And, guys walking through the velvet ropes inside the Capitol building, it's not an insurrection. I watched the videos, and I'm not saying that everybody was squared away with that, shouldn't be busting windows and that kind of stuff. And if they did that, then charge them with trespassing and move on. And don't keep them in, they got these guys in prison for a year for trespassing, of all things. This is becoming a police state. This is craziness. And again, it's something that has to happen because we're going towards the book of Revelation. And so you have to have the Stasi, you have to have the police state, you have to have the federal arm that will enforce the will of the politicians and that kind of thing. And we're seeing that kind of stuff come to pass. Hopefully it'll turn around. I love my country. I don't want this to be the case with the United States. Hopefully the Republicans will get a spine and do something about this. Way too often they don't. And so you can tell what I think about that. Not all of them. There's a few of them that I think that are godly, and even if they're not godly, they have a right attitude towards the state and towards a nation and that kind of thing. But this kind of stuff that I see coming out of the regime right now is just ridiculous. I was watching the vice president. Well, I don't know that. In any case, I saw Kamala Harris, let's call her that. I saw Kamala Harris say that the southern border is secure, just flat out lying to the American, like we're stupid. And just, it's so Hitler-esque. It's so Goebbels. It's so messed up. It's so Stalin. It's just crazy, the things that these people get away with, and it's because the country Almost half the country wants it that way, and this is really unfortunate. This country is going to get judged.
Yeah.
And if God doesn't judge us, He owes an apology to the Roman Empire. He owes an apology to Sodom and Gomorrah and the Jewish nation and all kinds of stuff. And this place is going to get judged. Hopefully, things will turn around. I'm praying for that.
Totally. Having a career in law enforcement, one of the things that the COVID times and all that, the 2020 and the 2 years after, kind of removed the veil on, is everyone had this idea that the American patriot would stand in the way of the police state and what you're talking about. But what we're seeing from the ATF, from the FBI investigations, from all the things that you just mentioned, is that there are people in those careers that are not standing in the way. And when it comes to the law of the land, which is tied to the Constitution, which is supposed to come from a moral and just people that enforce the law of the Constitution, they're just letting it slide and doing whatever the politicians are saying.
Yeah, they just went and took the phone away from the My Pillow guy. Because FBI, you know what they did with that guy?
I don't.
The guy went into a Carl's Jr. They call it Hardee's back there.
Okay.
Went into a Carl's Jr., got into the line to get some food, and they came and parked across the front of the drive-through, and then had somebody behind him blocking him, and then had somebody come in on the outside of the drive-through to pen him in, and then came walking over to talk to him and took his phone. He's a pillow guy. And it's all because he was one of those guys that was questioning the last election, like every Democrat in 2016
right.
questioned that election.
Right.
And it's just such hypocrisy.
Yeah.
And I'm just sick of this. And it's just nothing but a bunch of lies. And so I don't know. A plague on their house.
So, does that answer your question on Steve's thoughts on the red background?
Yeah.
I think that's sufficient.
I think, when you look at this stuff, everything coming out, there's almost never truth to what they're saying. We're not in a inflationary period. And the economy's just cranking. Everything's going great, and it's just like, that is so Goebbels, man. Tell a lie often enough, people will believe it.
It's totally true.
Yeah.
And you brought up the inflation. I'm just going to move on because I'll soapbox that for the next hour because it's getting bad. We need prayer. We need the Lord.
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
We need a king.
We need a king.
The Lord Jesus Christ.